everybody. I'm just giving it a minute here or so to get started, waiting for my tablet to catch up. So I see you. Make sure that's muted. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. I'll go on, make sure I can see the chat. It's Tuesday already. I'm excited, can't wait. I'm close to my Create Your Own Ending this weekend, starting Thursday. I don't know who's coming. I'm excited for that. If you're watching the replay, thanks for joining us. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up. And let me know when you're here. So this month's inspiration box is called Strawberry Social. And I am going to play with the stamps of the month, or the stamps that come in the box. I have just the stamps right now. I haven't ordered the dies, but I will be placing an order soon for them because I think you can do so much with these, especially, so very kind of you. Thank you very much. Wishing you the very best. I just think it's a fun set, and I love strawberries. There's always something in your stash that you can do. I'm sure that coordinates with the berries or food and things like that, plus all the little images. So today we're going to play what I like to do with. I'm going to play with these bigger images. I'm not sure. I'm making sure. These smaller images here. I want to make sure my video is going here so I can make sure I see the chat. I'm going to use, we're going to use a couple of the berry images, but I like to try to show how to use some of the smaller images. So most of our card is going to have these dots, these leaves, this flower with leaves, and this flower with the dots on it. And we're going to have some fun. So let's get started. I'm going to put that aside. I'm actually just going to toss it on the floor because I've already pre-done a few things. But are you ready? Here's the card we're going to make today. It's a mini slim, and if you've ever watched me craft before, you know how much I love mini slim cards. And this is what we're going to do. I'm in love with this card. I want to make more in different colors with different berries and different fruits and put a whole set together. I think it'd be fun. So in just a second here, I'm going to make sure my screen keeps going dark, and I want to make sure it's not, I want to make sure I'm if I don't miss any chat or anything, and not sure what's going on. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I did is cut down some cardstock, and this is just a leftover piece, I think, from when I was making my mini slimline cards. And my mini slimline cards are six and three. Not quite 6.5. 6.5 by 3.25. And then I think when I get down to it, this one ended up being just slightly more than 6. But a lot of times I go 6.25 by 3.5 or 3.25, depending on the image. I tend to go 3.5, and then when I make my card, I'll cut down a quarter of an inch, and so they end up being 3.25. So this is the leftover piece from my cardstock, and I'm like, what can you do with it? I'm going to make my background. So I am going really wild here tonight, and I'm just going to do, excuse me, my screen did go dark. I need to fix it so I can make sure I see it. Let's see what's going on here. Maybe I need to go full screen and then pull up the chat. There we go. And then I need to pull up the chat. All right, there we go, we're good. So I'm gonna go crazy here. I am not going to anti-static powder tool this or nothing. I'm just gonna go crazy. And what I'm gonna do tonight is I'm actually gonna use VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. This is a pigment ink, so it stays wet a little bit longer. And the reason I'm gonna do that is so I can stamp multiple images, and then I can put my embossing powder over it, and then heat set, and then go back. I'm not gonna do the whole sheet. I'm gonna do it in parts. So I hopefully this will turn out good. Last time I just kind of went little crazy and just went for it. And I just started kind of stamping in the middle. I have each one of these like leaves and the flower with the leaf, and then the flower, the bubbles we'll do later, just kind of on a couple wooden blocks. And I did my original design by just stamping the pattern randomly around my card. I think I need a new tablet because it keeps going to sleep on me, you guys. So I apologize. If you're here and I didn't see your comments, I'm not sure what's going on here. And I don't want to hide the chat. I want to see the chat. There we go. Technical difficulties. I need a new die cut machine here, or a new tablet here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the chat, so please, if you're here, I apologize. I'm not seeing it right now, but I'm going to keep going on. Anyway, so I just kind of randomly stamped my images all over. I didn't really put them like any, and I'm kind of going a little bit more in a pattern this time. It doesn't really matter. You can go wherever you want. That one's a little light. It's fine. You know, it might help, to be honest with you, when you're stamping with an ink pad, because we're having clear ink, I'm going to pull my Misty plastic. Hi, Shannon. Yay, my chat is working. I thought it was not working tonight. Making a background using the small stamps from the Strawberry Social set. So if you get a light one, it's okay, because this is too big for my panel. And I'm just going to random willy-nilly, like I said, you know, stamp a bunch down. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my clear embossing powder. I have my embossing powder in a... I do too, Shannon. I absolutely love this set. It's so fun. I was just saying how the card we're making tonight, I want blueberries, and I don't know what else. I want other berries, raspberries, because I want to make a whole set. This is the card we're making tonight, Shannon. And I think it'd be fun to make it blue and a little bit more of a pinky, purple for raspberries. Hi, Darren. How are you tonight? So this was the leftover piece, like I said, for my from my background, and I'm just stamping it all kind of crazy, random pattern, using a pigment ink so that I can heat emboss over it. I didn't anti-static powder it. I wanted to go a little crazy with it. First of all, I'm using a clear embossing ink, the icicle embossing ink, but I also wanted to be able to, if it left some marks on my paper, that would just add some shine to it. So that's good. I'm glad you guys are good. Is it finally cooling off down there by you guys? It's finally getting to the point where I want to be outside a little bit more and just hang out, but the flies have gone bonkers, and they're just everywhere, and I'm on a kill spree. I've been swatting flies, and so we're just randomly stamping these images. These are just some of the small images from the set. You know, there's no rhyme or wrong reason, kind of just filling in everywhere. You know, just to make it, yeah, just filling it in. Just a random pattern. Like I said, it doesn't matter too much. Oh, let's put that one here. If it's not a perfect image, we're going to do splatter and we're going to ink blend. We got all sorts of fun stuff going on with this set tonight. So let's see. I'll maybe put this one here. And one more leaf there. Oh, that sounds great. I haven't gone for a walk in so long, and I had a donut today. Shh, don't tell anybody. In my office, we have another company that rents from us, and she came out and she's like, I have treats. And I'm like, she's like, donuts. And I'm like, I don't need one. She goes, nobody needs one. Well, so I jokingly told them, because I work with all men in my office, I said, I'm going to go back and check out the donuts and eat all the good ones. And I got back there, and she had my favorite, which is from the local gas station here in town, which in the Midwest, it's especially Wisconsin Minnesota, Iowa. It's Quick Trip or Quick Star, and it's the Persian with cinnamon roll frosting. And I love it. And I had to have it for lunch. Then I had a salad so that I could, offset those calories. I'm going to quick heat set this. Thanks, Shannon. So I apologize if it's a little loud. I'm gonna try to do it on screen. I don't know if oh, yep, I can. Pull this a little closer. And I'm gonna heat this up. Trying to pick it up without touching the powder. So you can do this with any pigment ink. So if you want your image to be a color, if you have a pigment ink, you can, stamp these. You could stamp the flowers in pink. And then if you put it with a clear embossing powder, it will be pink. So I like to sometimes, I'm not always the best with black. I tend to not do enough anti-static color or whatever. So I like to use a pigment ink and then just use a clear embossing powder over it. When I do white, I like to use white pigment ink and then a white embossing powder, and it makes it nice and shiny. But to me, this is the easiest and fastest way for me to get a really good clear black ink. I love embossing powder when it melts. Just turn it around. Finish this up. Like I said, if it's not perfect, we got a couple lighter images on this side where it's not super dark, and then we'll just not necessarily use this side. And I made a little boo-boo right there. I can use this for another. This is a little bit longer. You can use any size background you really want for this because I'm going to cut it down. I just grabbed a leftover piece. Okay, so to finish off, I'm going to quick switch out my block here. And I'm going to put a few more bubbles. Ooh, I got embossing powder on my ink pad. I need just a few more bubbles here or there. And I do want to put my Misty. You could do either side of the Misty, thing. I'm just giving it a little bit more cushion against my desktop. Just because I find that sometimes if you don't have it in the Misty, it gives it you get a little bit cleaner image when you're using a acrylic block and a clear stamp. And you're going like this versus just stamping the image down. And I rotate your stamp every so often so that you get different bubbles here and there. We don't need to have a whole lot of empty spaces. One there. I think one here. Can we get one in here? Oh, I think we can just make it in there. All right, I'm going to leave it at that because it's pretty full where it is. Sorry for the squeaking. All right, we got to fill in the last couple bubbles with some of this. I am so ready for fall. We were outside, I got home from work this afternoon. One of our kids was over talking, and like I said, the flies are so bad right now. And we were both talking about, like just putting a killing on them. And of course, the little hornets and stuff are going kind of crazy too, and all over. And he was like, I'm so ready for it to freeze and just kill them. I said, I know. Or I said that. And he goes, wouldn't it be great if we could just get a really hard freeze and then it warms back up? I said, that would be the perfect fall. Let's get a really hard freeze, kill all the flies and nasty bugs that we hate, and then come back and be nice for a little bit. So I'm not ready for winter, but I am ready for fall. All right, so we're going to heat set the last of these real quick, and then we're going to get on to some ink blending. And don't be afraid to check out your stamp sets and use, the small stamps to create a focal point. I've been using this set for a couple of weeks, and I was trying to think of something new to do that I hadn't seen yet, or that I hadn't done. And I'm just going to tilt it quick and make sure. I'm pretty sure we're okay, but every once in a while, you miss a spot. There's a little, I gotta wipe my desk off here. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here is going to use Bee Sting and Love Struck from Simon Hurley Crates. They're very similar. This one's a little more red, this one's a little more peachy, and I'm just gonna do some crazy ink blending with it. Not anything crazy, nothing fancy. I like to take my brush, kind of feel it, feel how it feels. If it's not super hard, then that means I've cleaned it off pretty good. But I'm just going to take a cloth over here off the side. Not sure if I can get, if that's on camera or not. Just wipe it off a little bit. Just warm it up a little bit. But I use red sometimes a lot, and so some of my brushes get super thick and I don't always wipe them off, and then they're kind of hard. So I feel like if you rub them a little bit with your finger, move them on the towel, it will help you get more ink. So this does not need a perfect blend. I'm just going to kind of go in and all over. There's no rhyme or reason. We're just going to blend it in. I just want the couple different colors kind of to mix together. No, I don't care if there's a little bit of white behind, because this is just another color. You can just wipe back and forth. Sorry, off the camera a little bit here. I think that's it. I think I'm going to have to definitely get a new tablet because this one is not liking me too much, you guys. I apologize. All right. Just kind of, doesn't have to be circular. I said I just want color. You know, you could go direct to paper if you really wanted, which is taking the ink pad and swiping it right on. But I'm just going to go willy-nilly. That was the Love Struck. That was the lighter of the ink. So if you're using the same, I'm using the same brush. A lot of times I will do the light one first and then the dark one, and I won't clean my brush. That way you don't have to clean your brush for the dark, because it won't like mix up your light color. And then you can kind of see here where now you see the two different colors. Not sure how well that shows up, but this is more reddy. This is a little more pinky. It's very subtle because I'm not going super heavy. I do want them to blend a little bit. But I just, like I said, I just want a lot of this kind of pinky color. A little bit of the red color. Just to tie in, but I don't want it so dark because I'm going to use a deep red scrap for my mat, and the ink colors I did color are going to be super red. I did do a little bit of stamping and coloring ahead of time, but I'm going to do a little on camera. But you know, I like to color, but I color just kind of weirdly. I don't have any rhyme or rules. And so I thought I'd do a few in advance. And you don't want to watch me fussy cut out a bunch of images either. I'm not very good at it. It's not my favorite thing, but I will do it. It's just been very busy the last few days with everything, and I haven't had a chance to place an order. All right. Here we go. So I like how that's turning out. I'm going to kind of leave it, but before we go on to the next step, what I did for my other card is I got my little splat box here. And this is just, oh, you can see I was making something with chroma glaze or chroma mist back there. And I do have a piece of paper in there just to kind of suck up the extra. And I'm going to do a little splatter. And all I did for our splatter is I'm going to use the candy apple red, the lime green, the pearl, and I might use a little black. I don't remember if I did use a black or not. I didn't use black. So I'm just going to shake that up a little bit. And I just kind of took the lid out, and doesn't matter what the drops look like, little drops, big drops. This is just to add a little interest. But we don't want it super, I'm trying to control a little bit where they're going, so I have some all over, so there's not like a spot. But because my panel is so big, I can choose where I want to cut Okay, so I've got the red. I like those bright pop of red there. Now the green, I tried to go a little bit less dark. I didn't want to go super, 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 super dark on this one because I don't want a lot. I just want a little because, you know, strawberries have that little bit of green. You know, the leaves are green, but I wasn't going to color them all. I just wanted to add that little bit to tie in with the green on my images that I colored. So just a little here and there. You know, the harder I hit it, the bigger the drops. The lighter I tap it. You can tap it kind of on the side, but then I tend to get splatter everywhere. And I don't want it all over my desk because then I forget a spot and I put something in it. That's not good. Let's see here. That sigh was just because it's warm. I'm so warm. It's nice outside, but I've just been hit or miss with the heat and cold. It's one of those, it's not quite too hot, but it's not, you know, it's like the air, when it kicks in, it's perfect, but when it kicks out, it's like, eh. I too, Shannon, it's the one thing I like about splatter is it covers up a multitude. And I get it in particular, I try not to splatter all the things because, you know, sometimes but something like this, it's just perfect. Just to add a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it dry on its own, but to kind of soften it a little bit, I'm just going to dab this. And then I'm just going to set this aside to dry. See, it wiped up some of the, I wiped up some of the clear or the shiny here so they're not so bright. And it's just a little bit. So we're going to let this dry. If I need to set it with the heat, I will. And then I already have some stuff set up here in my Misty. Here's a piece of the alcohol perfect blend paper. It is my favorite for Copic Market coloring on. And I wanted to check, what did I do? Okay, so this, I wanted to show you because this is what I've been doing lately. And it's my favorite way to color. And it takes some, you know, oh, did I do it right? But I just take my Raven Detail ink. And to be honest with you, I don't care how inky I get my stamps. I'm just going to stamp them up. I already stamped a few out ahead of time. But I thought I'd show you how I like to color just because. And then I'm going to pull it up. It's not perfect. Not by any means. But I'm okay with that because I'm going to stamp after. So I leave everything the way it is. This was in the corner. I'm just going to take it out. I'm going to leave this to put to the side. And we're going to color. And I just grabbed some markers. And while I was coloring, I realized that my one marker is very, very dry. So I have some markers here. I'll put the caps on the table here so you can see what colors I'm using. I sometimes color light to dark. Sometimes I color dark to light. I don't remember which one of these is really dry right now. I think it's my 24. And I don't have the refill for it. So I need to place an order soon for some refills and some nibs because some of them are really dried out. And then this one is R17. That's going to be my lightest color. So anyway, I'm just going to go in and kind of depends on my situation for the image I'm coloring, if I want to go light to dark or dark to light. Now reds I have found tend to bleed a little bit more outside the images, especially if you oversaturate your paper. So I try to not do that. So a lot of times I will do a little bit more of the light to dark because it's a little bit less, it's a little bit easier to blend, and the paper or the dark and the light blend a little bit better. So I'm going to quick just color these. I'm not really making them super shaded. Yeah, shaded's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, it's been a long week already. I think it's because I'm waiting for Thursday. I'm just ready to get my craft on with all the create your own ending. I'm so excited. I have my homework done for it. I have everything laid out on my dining room table. Thursday and Friday. And I'm just going to put that away for now because I'm not using it. Then I'm going to go to my dark, which is my R27. That is this one. And I'm going to do Thursday and Friday at home since I work till actually time class starts. So I have to watch the first few while I'm at work. if I have a chance, if it's not too busy. And then on Friday and Saturday, I'm getting together with two local friends who have also signed up for it, and we're going to watch it together and finish creating all of our projects. So I'm super excited. I am covering up my markers right now because they are a little bit dry, and I don't want them to dry out. This is the R24. It's not too bad. This is definitely my driest one. I can tell by blending it out. What I did is I colored the whole thing with the lightest color, and then where all the dots were is where I colored the dark. And then here's the R14, which is my medium. Actually, that is my lightest, isn't it? That's all right. Like I said, there's willy-nilly. If I got a little red in the green where the leaves are, I thought that's okay because the green's darker than the red. It'll cover it up. And then I'm just going to color these. And then I have found, for me, if I go outside the lines a little bit, it's not too bad, that sometimes you get even a better blend if you go over it more than once. So like I said, I try not to put too much ink down, but I do try to go over my images more than once, especially on images, either colors that don't blend well together or numbers that don't blend well together. Like if you don't have the ones that are close to each other to blend, they're too far apart. And then I find that helps. So, but strawberries aren't all one color. So I figure if, we got different shades of red, that just means there are different shades of ripeness, right? I mean, obviously you don't want them super, super red because then they might be a little bit too done. And then it might not taste good. But if you're like me, what I do with those is I put them in a smoothie, or I blend them up with some wine and make an adult beverage after I freeze them. All right, let's see. So now for my greens, I'm not even going to do any blending at all. I am going to use G28 and YG17. I just chose two colors, and I'm just going to one at a time. And all I did was do every other leaf with one of the colors. It didn't really matter to me. They're just small. I didn't think I really needed to blend. I kind of just decided on which ones would be green. Didn't have to be on the search, each one. I did go over the dark with the light, so if I missed a spot, that it would fill in those holes as I was coloring with the green. Even with the stems, they didn't all have to be the dark green. Just no rhyme or reason. Just what I thought I liked. And I just drew in the lines and then colored in the middle. All right, so I'm going to do that one, put that away. And then I'll get out the dark green. And like I said, just go around, fill in the white holes where I might have missed something with the darker green. And then the last time I did a coloring on a live, I forgot to do the next step that I'm going to show you here in just a minute. This is what I've been doing a lot lately. So now that I've got those colored, I'm going to get this out of the way here. Clean up a little bit. I'm going to take my Misty back out, and I'm going to stick this right back down exactly where it was before. Pushed it right into the corner. Actually, I think I'm going to do it this way. I don't want it to move. This is where it's a gamble. You have to be careful because you can mess up after you've done all this beautiful coloring. This is where it can be. So I'm going to take my pigment ink that I did before because I want my strawberries to be shiny finished. But I don't want to do clear embossing ink because this is just easier. I want that super dark image. And like I said, make sure this is right. My pigment ink. And here we go. Hopefully it's all lined up right. And I'm just gonna push it. And the reason I do this is because you don't want to heat emboss and then use your alcohol markers. I know I've seen people do it, but most people do not. It's not good for the tips. And then see how dark that is? Now it's not perfect right there, so we gotta do it one more time. I want it super dark, and then I'm gonna clear emboss over it. And I think I need to replace my matte in my Misty. I think it's a little bit warped. See, now it's nice and dark. Isn't that nice? And then we'll leave those in there, clean that up later. We'll cover these with my embossing powder. Once again, I did not use the anti-static powder tool because I figured I'm gonna fussy cut them out. And if it's on the images, it'll just give it a little shine. Put that away. Let's quick heat set these. And then we're done with all of that. Yes, it's always nice when it happens and it does it. And it does it. I've lined it up and been like, oh no, I just did all that coloring and now it's not lined up, and then I'm sad. So sometimes I color more than one, so that way I have a backup. Okay. And let's check, make sure it's all shiny. Looks good. Oh, there might be one little spot. I'm just gonna do that quick off camera before I put my heat tool down. And then I'm only gonna fussy cut out one because I do have a few already done. Because like I said, I'm not the best at fussy cutting. I have learned to cut my image apart. And I'll cut these out and use those on another project. And then I did find there's 2 tips that I can give you that help. First of all, it's okay if they're not perfect. If you really watch other people's videos and you look at their cards and they fussy cut, they're probably not perfect either, but we're our worst judges, right? So it's great. Just do what you can do. If you miss a little spot, try to see if you can fix it, like our happy accidents. But what I have found, one thing is to turn your paper, not your scissors. So keep my scissors. And yeah, I have a tiny little scissors here. I just did it, but you turn your paper and you keep your scissors where it is. And then the other thing is that, oh my gosh, I forgot my other tip. I was like, turn my scissors and then just keep it going. Don't worry about it. Cut your image apart. I totally spaced, you guys. Oh my goodness, I'm getting so forgetful. What it is, I just knew. So, and then I just go around. I didn't care if I went outside the lines a little bit because I'm gonna fix that. I figured it was easier to fix it after. And I like to just keep cutting instead of keep my scissors, instead of going like this, try to keep your scissors, just keep going. And you have to use the scissors that you're comfortable with. I've got a small pair and I have my Brutus Monroe pair. They're a little bigger pair. I've found for me, the smaller the scissors works for right now for me. So, all right, so I've got that. And then I have a tiny little bit of red on the outside. So all I'm going to do is take a white gel pen. I just scratched it on a piece of the scrap there, and I'm just going to dab it here, and I'm going to let it set aside to dry. Just a little bit. And we're good. So now, one thing I did do off camera is I cut, this is just a piece of scrap red paper for my stash. I've been trying to use up all this old paper. I was a cheerleading coach for years, and I have all this old paper that I used for posters and locker signs, and I have them cut down into 8.5 by 5.5. And I cut them down for my mats and all that stuff, or for extra pieces for loading. So this is just this piece. I thought it was a perfect kind of not so bright red for our background. And then I cut this out with a rectangle die from my stash, and I already stamped the sentiment and heat embossed it. This is from the Strawberry Social set. I did use my anti-static powder tool on this one. And then the reason it's such a deep edge, which I really liked, is actually die cut both of them out at the same time. And this one happened to be the one on top, and so it created that really nice edge, which I really like. So, all right, so let's put our card together, okay? So I gotta take my background. Look at that, it's dry. I mean, it didn't take long to dry at all because we didn't do super heavy. And we're just gonna cut it down. You know what I don't think? I don't think I have a card base. We'll do that next. So I'm just gonna find, like, this is the side. I said I don't have a perfect little mark here or here. So that's the side I'm gonna cut the most off. I do want this to be 3 inches, but I don't wanna cut, I don't like that I have this crazy dark edge like I do, because I'm gonna cut it off on this side. So I am gonna cut it at 3 1/4. I could do 3 1/2, but I'm gonna do 3 1/4 because I wanna kind of keep this, because now I have this leftover piece that can be on a card as a border for something. So I have 2 of those now, so I'm gonna be able to create another card. Then I'll just flip it over and I will cut it down to 3. And then this is gonna be too long for my card base, but I haven't cut my card base yet, so I'm gonna wait before I cut it to make sure it's right, because I do want it to be shorter than here. Well, let's see, I can do that actually based on my mat is actually 6 by 3. So this is gonna have to go down a little bit smaller than that to see how it's still, so I'm gonna have to cut it down one more. And I think I'm gonna cut it down on this side. So I'm actually gonna go 2 1/4, 2 3/4 on this side. And you don't have to throw this away either, because this can be a tiny little border on something. It's all up to you what you want to keep. So I've got 2 of those now. They could be an edge on something. And then it's by 6. So I am going to chop it down. I'm going to chop it down to 6 first, so that I have that, and then I'll measure it, because, you know, cut once, measure once, cut twice. Oh yeah, I was to say, see, you could even do it this way, so that it's just a border at the top and the bottom. But I am going to cut it down just a little bit. So it's 6. We're going to go down to 5 3/4. We got off those edges. Now these pieces, I'm not going to keep. Can't keep it all, right? All right, so I got to quick grab a card base. I realized that I have no mini slim light card bases left. That is not the right paper. Which, for me, not having any mini bases left is ridiculous, because I love mini slims. Okay, so I'm just going to take my piece. It's going to be hard to see on camera because it's bigger than my camera. And I'm just going to cut it down. So how I've been doing this is going, okay, well, 3.25 is what, 6 1/2? Well, my thing doesn't go to 6 1/2. So what I've been doing is cutting it down to 7. Well, because I'm cutting it and my trimmer only goes to 6 inches, I'm like, 11 minus 7 is 4. See, I had to check. Math is hard. And I just reached this over and I just put it to 4 inches. And I always use the bottom of my trimmer. And I cut that off. And then I know my card is 8 1/2. This is the perfect for a slimline card base, but I want mini slim. It's 8 1/2, and I want it to be 6 1/4. So I'm first going to cut down 8 1/2, puts it at, take off 2 inches, we'll put it at 6 1/2, and then make sure I'm doing it the right way. I want to do it this way. Hopefully I did my math right. Sometimes I do. And then I can just save this piece for another project. I like to keep all of my heavyweight card bases because I can do anything with them. You can ink blend on them, stamp on them. And then I just put it in my trimmer or in my score buddy, and I scored it, because it's 7 inches, I scored at 3 1/2, which I know is bigger than we need. But I have found I've really liked this. it's been easier for me to do it. Whoops, I think I got off one. That's all right. We can fix that. And I score it because this isn't You're Not Your Mama. I think I have that, but it's on the other side of the room. I couldn't reach it, so I just grabbed something else. This is just 100-pound cardstock, just a basic weight. And then I fold it in half, you know, got it down. But it's too long, so it's too wide. And what I say when you do mini slims is use your measurements based on your envelopes. So what I've been doing is I take my card base and I stick it in here, and see, it's at 3.5, and I want it at 3.25. So I just, and you may have seen me do this before. And now I have 2 little perfect sentiment strips that I can stamp thin sentiments on, and they're perfect. So I just save those. I have a little drawer with them all. I haven't used them yet. One of these days I need to sit down and just stamp a bunch of sentiments. But now, look at that. Ooh, you can see I got a little bit of shimmer spray on there. That's okay. So we got this and we got that. So let's quick put our card back together. Alrighty. So for my panels and my mats, I like to use a tape. And I was a scrapbooker for a start. I mean, I made cards every so often, but I scrapbooked first. So I do like to use that. I found if I use liquid glue on my panels and my mats, I tend to use too much and they warp a little bit. So if you ever have that issue, that might be something for you to look into. So I do like a tape runner for them. And then for my sentiments, my images, I do like to use liquid. Now here's a good example of something that I found. Oh, sorry, shook the camera there. Now I didn't get my tape all the way to the edges here, and I don't want that to peel up. So what I'm doing, and I lost my needle to this. I'm not sure where it is. It was in it, but I'm not sure. I haven't seen it. I haven't stepped on it, so I don't know where it went. I just kind of put just a tiny bit. I might have to stick it. I have another needle. I just haven't pulled it out yet. I just have a small one here that's not a steel one, so I don't leave it in. It doesn't have a ball on the end. Let's see if that'll help it. There we go. I need to put the other one in there. Dig out my other needle. Okay. Let's see if that is enough. I just put a little bit of glue. Just right there. If I miss the corner just a little bit, so that it does stick down. If you find that it sticks down, a bottle with this type of a tip is perfect to stick right underneath right underneath it. All right, now let's see if I can get this kind of straight. That's one thing about using a tape runner is that you don't have as much time, wiggle room, but I just have to eyeball it. All right, so we got our base, and let's see if I can get it to flatten out a little bit more. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of place my sentiment where I think I want it. I got my berries here. I'm going to go ahead and pull out my T ruler, because if you guys know me at all, I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. I'm just going to put some liquid glue on my sentiment here. And I'm just going to kind of put it, this looks good. And I set my sentiment down and I just kind of push it up against my T-square or T-ruler or whatever this is called and press it down. There we go. So we got our sentiment. So now we just have to add our berries. So now when I did my original card, I did have a berry that I didn't stamp perfect on. So if you didn't know, and you can barely tell, I covered it up. You could see it right on the edge of the leaves that I didn't line it up when I restamped it. It was just that one. So I just tucked it under. That was my little happy accident. Or if it had been this one, I covered it up. So that's kind of how I figure you could still use your images, even if you kind of make a little boo-boo. And we're just gonna, what I did is I just kind of lined them up how I thought they'd look. Kind of nice. I want some green showing. Put but I want to have the berry. You know, whichever image I don't like the most, you know, if I don't like my coloring on one, you know, do you want the green going different directions? I'm just going to kind of lay it out the same way I did before. And this is going to go on top of this one, so I'll leave that. So what I'm going to do is take this one first, and I'm going to liquid glue this one down. And if you have tweezers, these are really old tweezers I've had since I started scrapbooking years ago. I still have them. And just stick that, oh, we're going to pull this one out too. Stick that in there a little bit. I do want a little bit of the berry to show because we're going to put some fun glitter on there. And that one we're going to pop up. Look at the two berries that I have here. I like this one best, so we're going to put this one down. Thanks, Shannon. I thought it was really fun. You know, sometimes when I sit down to make cards, sometimes I'm way too literal. And so, you know, I'm like, what am I going to do? So I have to sometimes start playing. And I made my sample on Sunday, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I'm going to use some of the Easy Tab pop dots to pop up my berries. I only have 2 of the white ones left. So I'm actually going to grab my black ones here. I've been hoarding the black ones. I've got them at the same time, but I barely started using them. And what I like to do when I'm going to cut them is I do like to take the tab off and just cut them. That's the way it works for me. I don't want to use those scissors. I'm going to use I like my Brutus Monroe scissors for these. Hey, Annie, how are you? Hi, Lucas. We're making a berry-rific card. Almost finished up here. We're just kind of adding some dimension. But I started making this card on Sunday. I know I didn't finish that part of the story. Ooh, I pulled my tab off. I was getting a little crazy. And just started playing. And then I started making that background with the images, because that's been one of my goals this last few, I don't know, since April, I think. I can't. What did I do that for? All right. I'm going to try a trick here. And to try and use the smaller stamps. And I've been trying to do that every month with the inspiration box stamps, because that just gives you an idea to look at your stamp sets and find a different idea on how to use them. Because we usually always focus on the main images and maybe use the small ones. So that's what I started with. I made a background, just started playing, didn't know how it was going to turn out, and I loved how it turned out. All right, we're going to pop that down like that. And then I'm just going to use a little bit more liquid glue to attach this last one. Actually, I got to check it out. I might have to put a pop dot, because I think I did. Okay, let me grab one more pop dot here. I am going to cut this one in half because I don't need the whole thing. And I'm going to stick this one back on here. And I'll use it pretty soon. I'm just going to stick the back on it for now. And then we got to look at it. So I have a little bit different layout than my first original card. I'll stick that right here. I'm going to stick it like that. So we got to turn it around a little bit, so it's all at the same level. Stick that down. We just got a little bit of berry. So we've got a little bit extra space. It's a little bit different, but I like it. It works. And then for final touch, instead of adding extra gems and this and that, I just went and grabbed my Stickles. I mean, I've had Stickles forever. So I'm just going to grab it. And what I just did is I always start a little bit, you know, because you don't want it to like booger on you. And I just decided to do a couple little dots here and there where the dots were on the berries. And then put some on the edge. And I'm just going to go around the edge a little bit. I'll do a little bit right down around here. I'll go right through here. I think this one we're going to do the long side, even though there's a lot of little freckles on that side. And we'll do a couple dots on this side. And then this one we'll do down here at the tip. And we'll just go along a little bit. And there we go. And then I'll have to set this aside to dry. It doesn't take too long. I try not to get them too thick. but it just adds that little bit of extra pizzazz. And, you know, using up supplies that you have, you know, look through your supplies. Don't be afraid to use it. Figure out different ways. And I like the shine. I love the shine of the embossing powder, and the shimmer mist, the pearl shimmer mist, you know, gives it a little bit in the background. And then when that Stickles dries, that is exactly, you know, that little bit. And it falls back a little bit, so it's not super poofy. And there's nothing hard, so when you go to ship it, you know, they're not going to pop through. So I hope you enjoyed crafting with me tonight. Or if you're watching the replay, you know, I hope you enjoyed my card. Don't forget to create something every day, whether it's a berry card like this or something else. Go over to the store. Oh, I'm off screen a little bit. And get the inspiration box. It's all full of berries, strawberry social stamps. There's the dies in it. We've got a couple of stencils, and make yourself some cards. All right, have a great rest of your day. I am not going to go live on Thursday because the Create Your Own Ending event is starting and I will be in class. So I will see you in a couple of weeks when I'm back again live. All right, have a great night, and we'll see you around.